Hello to all my beauties. Today I'm going to show you how I color melt. And what I'm first starting off with is I like to color melt using a demi. I'm going to use two formulas. The first one I mixed up was the 3N and 5G for her roots. And then we're going to add some bold red. And I want it to be a darker red. So we're going to use a 3R and 5M. And I'm using my Product Club bowls and my extra wide Product Club color brushes. These brushes are going to hold a lot of color for me and allow me to apply the color faster. The other thing that I love about these color brushes is while I'm applying the color, the soft bristles will help do the melt for me. I'm not going to have any harsh lines versus when you use a more blunt, stiffer bristle. You typically want to use that brush for a gray root touch-up. So with these soft brushes, I'm going to first start with the application at the roots. I'm going through and I'm applying the root color that I wanted. After I apply the roots, I'm going to section the hair off from ear to ear, off her natural part. Those are going to stay forward. Now I'm going to work on the back section. I don't have an assistant, so this is how I like to keep the hair out of the way. And I just take a clip and I push it over to the side so I can work up the head. If you have an assistant, they can stand on that side and hold the hair for you. I'm going to be using my highlighting papers for my color melting technique. And what's important with the highlighting papers is you want to make sure the shiny side is up. And once I place it underneath my section, I'm going to apply my color. And I'm using the highlighting paper for my color melting because it's going to help make sure that all the hair is fully saturated. The other thing that it's going to help with is sometimes when color is in the open air, it tends to dry out. Now I'm going to reach for a second paper, apply it underneath and above. This is going to keep the paper secure and locked in. If you apply it just where the other one ends, you can have some slip with it. I'm working in a diagonal sectioning, and the diagonal sectioning that I use, this helps for a soft blend. And each time that I'm working on my section, I'm going to make sure that the root is not at the exact same point at every spot. With it being a demi, this darker color, it is going to be perfect in the back for giving all of the depth that she needs. And I'm making sure I'm really loading and saturating each and every section that I'm going into, using my fingers and really pressing it into the hair. You're going to see I'm going to grab my Product Club brush, and when I use the color brush on the hair, it's going to brush it through the hair, making sure that every single section is covered and fully saturated. Because when you get those sections that are not fully covered and saturated, that's when you'll run into saturation issues and you won't get coverage. Here it is. I love this color brush. It is my best friend, and I'm just going to pick up that section and I'm going to help melt that root into the mids and in the end. And I'm just going to keep brushing, and then I'm going to see if there's any areas that are missing color. If I need to add more color, I'll see those dry sections when I'm brushing through. I didn't see any on this one. So I'm going to pop into my next one. We're going to section it diagonal forward, and then we're going to clip to the side. And once again, this is the best way without having to flip those ends to her face or put them in a spot that'll get color on them. I like to keep my color applications nice and clean. And I also want to point out wearing gloves. I also have on my Product Club gloves, and on my tray hanging, I keep a towel. So every time I go and I apply the color, I'm making sure that I'm wiping my hands between each and every section. And it never fails when I'm working with red color. I tend to get it everywhere. So keeping everything as clean as possible is really, really important. And I'm getting those ends, using my fingers like scissors, getting out my brush, melting that root into that red color so it has that seamless transition going through, and just keep working that color in, because like I said, if you don't get that saturation, you're gonna see the splotchiness. This is another reason why I prefer to use a demi liquid. The demi liquid is really gonna allow you to melt the colors into one another, and it's going to give a beautiful transition for you. And I'm just going to take the hair and I'm going to place the papers right over to protect it. You don't have to do it on every single section where you're applying the papers in between like you would if you were using highlights. I'm making sure that I'm applying the highlight papers where they're needed while I'm applying the color. That way everything is kept neat and clean, and I'm also getting those areas to make sure that they are going to stay nice and saturated. Now that I have moved to the side of her head, I like to work in a vertical with a slight diagonal back. In working in this manner, you're going to see that I'm going to be able to work much faster. I'm not having to use a clip. I'm once again taking the hair and melting it, making sure I'm getting in that full saturation. And typically in the front, I might use a couple more papers to just make sure the hair is protected and it's not getting onto the other sections on the head. Working the brush through, making sure that that root is really melted, and making sure that every single bit of hair is covered in color. And you see I'm wiping my hands there, and I'm coming back. And I'm going to go through, and I'm going to take my vertical with a slight diagonal back section, and I'm going to make sure I'm going to comb that hair out before I apply the color, and that's going to also make sure that I have a nice smooth even blend. She has more blonde around the front of her face, so these are going to be the pieces that are really going to pop out for me. And using the 3R with the 5M, that's going to give you that rich red wine feel. The other perk to using a demis are just my favorite. They're a really good color to work with. If she decides when she comes back that red is not for her, a demi to me is more forgiving to come out. And you know, with each wash, that demi is going to slowly start to come off the hair. So this was her first time doing a red color. We've always done warm tones on her, and I'm excited to see when she comes back if she decides to stick with the red color or change it up, because she is one that changes it. So that demi is also another great option for making sure, you know, when she changes it, we're not wrecking the hair or putting it through too many processes. And as you keep on seeing, I am working that hair. I'm going to take that shiny side up, place it underneath, and I'm going to pull it over. Now, this technique is just a super easy technique. It's also beautiful when it's done. It crisscrosses and overlays on one another. Now I'm gonna go rinse her out. I'm gonna do a nice deep conditioning treatment on her. You guys ready for this? Oh, look at that. It's just a seamless blend. It's rich, it's gorgeous. I hope you guys like this. Comment and let me know any questions that you have on it. Today I used all Product Club tools.